A Song of Blades and Heroes by Andrea Sfiligoa. Actually, I think it's pronounced Sfiligoe. We haven't seen this one in a long time. I figure as long as we're doing the 10mm skirmish fantasy, we might as well go back to our roots. Years and years ago, we played a bunch of these. Here's our two forces for the day. Now, this is an interesting game because it has a great activation mechanic. Your dudes all have a quality and a combat skill. The quality is how likely they are to act. The elves all have a quality of 2. The bad guys, the ogres and the orcs, have a quality of 4. So what you do is you pick a figure and you nominate. Am I going to try to act once? If I can beat my quality, then I get to take an action. I can do it twice. But if I fail on both of these, not only does that figure not go, but my turn is over. I can even take 3 actions. But again, if I fail twice, my turn is over. If I succeed, so these guys only fail on once. That's pretty good. You gotta like that. If he fails twice, he still gets to take the 1 action before my turn is over. A lot harder to activate these guys, but they have a lot more of them on the table. We have cavalry. They are foresters. They kind of ignore forests. I've got some shooters. The difference between the elves and the orc shooters is that the elves shoot long, the orcs shoot medium. Well, wait a minute. What does that mean? This is your measuring tool. I made this little guy out of craft sticks. This is the large tongue depressor kind. And interestingly enough, when you're gaming in 15mm, now I'm using 10mm figures. I'm still going to measure using the 15mm scale. The long is 12 centimeters, the short is 5, and the medium is 8. I don't know if you can see that or not. I trimmed off the point so I didn't stab myself and so that it wouldn't fray. Not the best wood, but it will work. When you move your guy, or when you shoot, you drop the long down. And if you're shooting at short range, you're just rolling your dice. If you are at too long for the elves, you're at -2 on your shooty dice. And they can actually shoot a 3rd range band, which gives them a -4 on their 2 hit. Everything is roll off D6s. Same thing with the combat. The elves are at combat 3. The orcs are at combat 3, except for our big bad ogre boy, the guy with the tree stump for a club. He is at combat 4. It's a simple roll off, but it gets a little interesting. Blue dice will be for the elves all the time. And so we get let's suppose we got a elf fighting the ogre chief here. So my elf rolls a total of 4. My ogre chief rolls a total of 6 rather. Meaning my ogre chief won. If you double him up, he is dead. That's not the case here. We didn't do that. Instead, we won. So we look at the winning die roll. If it is an even die roll, then you knock him down. If it's an odd die roll, if he had won with a 3, let's say, where's that 3? There we go. Or even with a 1, here we go. If the ogre chief wins with a 1, then we just push him back. So odd back, even down. And the thing that's terrible about falling down is on the next round of combat, if our ogre whacks at the guy on the ground is at, you're actually at +2 when you're attacking the guy on the ground. So that kind of stinks. If you have 2 guys wailing on a guy, then the guy on the ground is at -1, which is different from +1. Because if you're suffering a -1 on the die roll, it makes it easier to get doubled up. We are back to the fairy forest. Creepy old Mother Willow is watching the action. Everything that's vertical on the table blocks movement and line of sight, except for these 5 trees who just demarcate that our felt blobs are woods. When you try to move on any of the flatter terrain, through the lake, through the stream, or in the woods, every action that you take to move, normally whichever your move speed is, so if normally you move long, when you move through the difficult terrain, you step down 1. If you normally move medium, you'll move short. If you normally move long, you'll move medium. If you normally move short, then I think it doesn't matter. I guess if you're short, then you don't really care about what you're stepping on. All right, so the other thing to be aware of is that there is a bridge here. You can move along across that, and you move along across that. The way movement works is rather interesting. If you have, so for example, our big boy here, he can move along. Everything has to be in a straight line. He's right here, and he wants to move. You put him adjacent to the measuring stick, and then he can end his movement adjacent to the measuring stick. So the only real turning that he can do is to move from one side of the stick to the other. You don't have to move the full distance, but you do have to stay in contact with the measuring stick. So again, for example, if he starts here, then I can put my stick there and I can bring him around and he's hooked around this terrain piece. We do have a ford and a bridge. You can move across those normally, but you still have all the same rules as far as moving. Normally he moves long, so he can move along like that. If he's over here, he's going to be slowed down. He can only move medium. I think you get the idea. As far as objectives go, we are going to play 6, count them, 6 turns, and we'll do 5 objectives. If you are in contact with an objective, and you successfully spend an activation, you can claim it for your team, and then you can run off. It stays claimed for your team until the other guys do the same and claim it for themselves. I will be using blue and green chips, so you can keep score rather easily. Where are we going to put them? I don't know. See, I got them lined up 1 through 5. I'm going to roll some dice. Starting where they're at, I'm rolling a direction and in inches. Starting with number 1, we're going to move that 4 inches to the west. That was 5. I'm going to go 4 to the west. For number 2, it will be 9 inches to the northeast, which puts it hiding behind the flowers over there. For number 3, our results are 3 inches to the northeast. And number 4 is 10 inches to the south. That would put it off the table, so I'm going to put it right on the edge. See it right down there? That's where number 4 is. And finally, for number 5, we're going to go 6 inches to the north, which puts it hiding right behind the mushrooms up there. A lot of hidden objective markers. The next question is, who is going to deploy where? I'm going to go clockwise from the upper left corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going to start down here in the lake. The orcs, of course, will start over in the opposite corner. Given the fact that we're starting in the corners, I think we better use a variable turn length here. Specifically, I'm thinking what we'll do is at the start of turn 7, I'll roll a d10. If I roll the turn number or lower, I'll play another turn. So we may wind up playing up to 10 turns on this one. Let's roll for initiative, see who gets the first activation. The orcs are going to get it. One of the nice things about this game is that if you are more than 2 long away from your nearest adversary, you can decide, I'm not going to roll the dice, I'm going to take the guaranteed 1 move at your normal move speed. So we're going to do that for both sides on turn number 1, get them in the mix a little bit faster. We may even do this on turn 2. The orcs will come boiling out of the woods like so. I put this die down. I said you can come on anywhere within 3 inches of the corner. Since they're on, I can bring that out of the way. And notice that the boar riders and the ogre boys, they are fast. They move long. In retrospect, the elves are in trouble. Because they're starting in the water, they can all only move short. Unlike the boar riders, because these elves are heavy riders, they only move medium. Everybody on this team moves medium. So we'll roll for the first guy and the second guy, and if we can get snake eyes, the game is over. So the first guy gets 2 activations. The second cavalry rider is going to get just the 1 activation. And then we'll roll for 1, 2, 3 swordsmen. And we get 1, 2, and 2 activations, which winds up looking like that. I have 2 more activations for the archers, and one of the archers will move twice. The other archer is going to move just once. So that will look a little something like this. So for the guy that's moving twice, I'm going to start here. I'm going to move him short, and he's going to wind up right about there. Then the question is, should I go ahead and send all of my foot guys this way, or should I send 1 archer to back these guys up? Let's go ahead and split up the archers. Just for giggles, we'll move him short to there so that on the next activation, a single short move will bring him out of the water. That's the end of turn number 1. Moving on to turn number 2. The orcs decide to mostly play it safe. All of their foot guys, the ogres and this boar rider, just take the 1 move. The last guy to go is this boar rider, and he says, you know what? I might as well take the risk. Even if I fail, we're good. If I can get 2 activations, I can spend 1 activation moving to this objective marker and the second taking it. Remember, he's got a quality of 4, so we roll the dice, and he gets a total of, oh, just the one activation. So he's not going to be able to claim this one, but he will be able to sit on it for right now. If he had just scored another 5, he could have moved, claimed, and then he'd be able to follow up. But they got to be feeling good about their chances. That is the end of turn number 2. Pretty easy so far. Let's go back to the elves. Oh, that's not the end of turn 2. That's the top half of the second inning. For the elves, remember, if I roll snake eyes, that's the end of the turn. I'm going to try to bring these 2 swordsmen up first, and I guess we'll roll for the archer next. So swordsman 1 will move twice, swordsman 2 will move twice, and the archer will move twice. They move medium. So these guys are going to, because they have the better quality, they can afford to be a lot more aggressive. I think the archer, we're going to bring him up, and let's use him to seal off. Now, he could cross the ford there, and the ford offers no defensive help for him, but I think that's pretty good. We're going to stay back there. We can start plinking away at those ogres who are getting a little close for comfort. The next thing I want to do is check with this guy right here. He is only going to be able to act once, so he moves medium, and he'll need 2 activations on the next turn if he hopes to claim that point. Remember, we're looking to claim 3 of them altogether. That being the case, let's try to move this guy twice. He's going to get 2 moves, and the first move will be short. Hey guys, wait for me. The second move will be medium, and we may wind up sending him across the ford as well. And then we have this archer who is going to try to move twice. He gets it both. The first move will take him out of the river. The second move will take him up to here. And he may, well, let's bring him back around over to there, actually, because then he can start taking some shots as well. I'm going to hold, oh, this is the last guy, isn't he? That means we might as well roll 3 times. For every non-1 we get, he gets 2 actions. Do we keep, so the question becomes, do we keep our cavalry together, or do we just charge in? And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move him twice and camp him out right on the objective marker. We get 1 action next turn. We can use it to get into melee. That's the end of the second turn, and so far, it's anyone's game. Going back to the orcs, here on the top half of the third inning, the orcs play it conservative with all of their little guys. They move 1 medium action, and that's it. And then, because the ogres and boar riders are within 2 long moves of the nearest elf, they have to roll for their activations. I'm going to start with this guy right here, and I'm going to go ahead and roll for 3 activations. I really want to claim that objective. We're looking for 4s or betters, and we get a total of 3 activations. The first one will be used to claim that. Then we drop down. Remember, these guys can move long. I think, yeah, the boar riders are fast, so we can bring him all the way up to there. Then we can roll to see if our ogre boy can reach right here. And in this case, first I'm going to roll for this guy. Is he within 2 long? I don't think he is. I think he can move long as well. We're going to bring him up to there to support. And then for the ogres, I'm going to go ahead and roll 3 dice for this big guy. Let's see what he can do. Now, I failed twice. That's going to be the end of the turn for that ogre, but he is fast, so he is going to be able to move and camp out right on number 3. And then we move on to the bottom of the third inning. If you're the ogres, I think you got to be happy with that. I'm going to check to see if we can claim the elves now get to go, and they want to claim this objective marker, looking for anything but 1s. The cavalryman gets it. Now, the nice thing about the cavalry riders here, he has 2 more actions, and because these guys are foresters, oddly enough, they're the only elves that ignore the movement penalty for moving through the woods. He can use one of his actions to ride like so, and with his second action, I can move into melee. I don't have another action to actually fight that boar rider, but that's okay, because being engaged in melee means that this ogre can't shoot at our boy. The other rider is going to try to take 3 activations. He's only going to get 2, and we'll do the same thing with him. We'll bring him up to here, And then he is within medium, so he can engage with that boar rider right there. Then I have an elven archer, and I don't want to move him yet. Instead, I want to try to move these sword fighters up and see if we can claim this objective. The first guy can move medium, and he will use his second activation to gain control of that objective. So that's his second action. He did roll a 1, so he only gets 2 actions this turn. And then we'll see if his buddy can move as well. And his buddy gets 3 actions. He is medium. You can move through your pals. I probably should have fired with this guy first. All right, well, that being the case, what I'll do is I'll bring... Okay. So this is where the game gets a little bit awkward. I want to move this sword fighter up into the stream. But as soon as I hit the stream, I have to stop because you have to move short. If I can't reach it in short, then I'm done. So that's his first action. His second action will be to move across the stream, and his third action will be to go camp out. Oh, you can't quite see that, can you? He's actually going to go camp out on the objective. Now, he doesn't have enough activations to seize it, but he's going to force these orcs to try to overwhelm him and force him off. That's, taking advantage of the initiative, even if you can't. Now let's take a shot with this guy. I'll try 2 activations, and I get both. When you have 2 activations and you're a shooter, now notice that we are at long range. He does have long range shooting. Basically, you use 1 action to fire, and you use the second action to aim. He gets a +1. Or to be more precise, Mr. Ogre has a -1 on his die roll. His effective combat skill will be 3. The blue die and the red die are both at +3. The blue die wins by 1, so you look at the fact that it's odd, and if it's odd, then you go back 1 space. So that drives the ogre off of that objective marker, and if we could get this swordsman over there, it would be, and he can cross at the ford. We may be able to go run and jump on that marker. Before we do that, though, let's take a shot with this archer down here. He is going to get 2 activations. We'll call it 2. It's fine. Notice that he is at long range into the second range band. Going to be at -1. But we're at, -2 for shooting at medium range. But +1. So we're at a total of -1. He's got a combat skill of 2. Versus a combat skill of 4 on the red die. And we may be able to drive that guy back a little bit more. On a tie result, nothing happens. Even better, if you win that combat with an odd, we could knock the ogre down, and he's going to have to spend an action standing back up. I have 1 more activation. It's this swordsman right here, and he's going to go whole hog, all 3. He gets 3 actions, and I think that might do it. He can move medium to the ford, and then he can move another. So we're going to stop him right there. And look at that. We get to fight a battle against that ogre for objective number 3. In this case, it's going to be the ogre has a combat score of 4. And again, if you have 2 activations and you're fighting a guy, you can use that second activation to reduce his score by 1. In this case, our swordsman is very brave, but probably very stupid. I stand corrected. This is a result of a 6 for the ogre and an 8 for the swordsman. And when you are odd, you go down. So he knocks the ogre down, but that is the end of the turn for the elves. In fact, that's the end of turn 3. We now move on to the ogre's turn 4. And where do we begin? Let's do some shooting. I'm going to try to shoot this swordsman with this bowman and this bowman. I think, we'll do the bowman first. One of those bowmen first. Does he activate? On a 4, he does. So we'll take a shot. And once again, it's going to be, let's see, those shooters, because they're firing at short range, it's going to be an even 3 versus 3. The ogre wins with an odd result that knocks this guy down, which frees up our swordsman over here to, I'm going 3 activations on this nearest guy. I only get one activation, so I can move into combat with this guy, and then I have to stop because I don't have the extra action to be able to actually whack at him. That's going to be a real problem, because now, that was probably a mistake, wasn't it? Because now the elves are going to have the opportunity to knock this guy out of the game. Is that the one we want to start with? We'll take 2 activations and anything but snake eyes. All right. The guy that's on his feet is at +2. The ogre, because the ogre is down. The ogre is at -1 because of the power blow. So the ogre is at 3. The elf is at 5. The ogre gets a 4. The elf gets a 9, which means this guy is eliminated. Their big warrior goes down, but the elves have not claimed the objective marker there. I had to stop and think because I thought, wait a minute, did the orcs go? They did, but they did a terrible job. That's what it was. It was really short. That's the funny thing about this game, is that sometimes these turns go really, really fast. The next thing I want to do is bring this swordsman over. No, let's try to stand that swordsman up. We'll bring it around so you can see. See this fight right there? That's going to be a tricky one. I'm going to roll 3 dice. I need to activate. No ones. All right, so he stands up, and he has 2 activations. He uses the first one to stand up. He can use the second activation to fight, and now it's going to be a straight 3 versus 3. With a 9 and a 9, it's a tie ball game, and nothing happens. Now I can bring this guy over. I roll 3 activations. I only get 2, and he can only move short, so he gets across the stream, and now we can move medium, so we'll bring him up to here to defend his friend. Now these 2 swordsmen can't take over on the objective. We have a couple of archers who could do something. Let's move this archer. We could either take a shot at the ogre shooter, which is probably a smart play. He's at -2 to get that shooter, though. Do we move him across the stream first? We have another shooter down here. We could bring this. Let's bring this archer up. And he gets 3 activations. So we can move him medium to here. And he is, he's still at medium range. But if we do our power attack, then we're fighting at -1. And this ogre, not as good at combat. He's got a combat skill of 3. He's got a combat skill of 3. It becomes, he's actually at a 2, I guess you could say, because it's long range for -2, +1 for the extra attack. So the blue die is at +2, the red die is at +3. The red die succeeds, nothing happens. Now we're going to bring this guy. Well, no, let's fight this one first. I'm going to take 2 activations. If I don't get any 1s, I got 1. I still get the attack, but I don't get the bonus. It's going to be 3s versus 3s. The elf wins 8-6. With an odd number, the elf knocks down his foe. This other fight, right next door, is going to be 2 activations. The orc is now at +2 versus +3. So the orc wins with an 8 versus a 3. It's not a tripling. If you triple the score of the enemy, not only do you knock him down, but everybody within a long move has to make a morale check. We'll talk about how morale works if we hit that point. Here, because it's a doubling, this cavalryman goes out of action. Not great for the elves. Who has not gone yet? There's only one more figure that has not activated, and that is this archer over here who says, I might as well roll all 3 dice. Let's see what happens. I get a 4, 4, and 3. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and move into position. I'm going to cross short to here, and then, it's too far away to hit that guy. Well, we'll take the shot anyway. We're going to take the shot with a +1. Well, can we shoot this guy? I'm thinking we should shoot at this guy instead. Let's do that. I'm going to shoot at this guy. It's going to be +3 for the red die and +2 for the blue. Tie score means nothing happens, and that's the end of turn number 4. We move on to the Orc's turn number 5. And the Orcs decide to get sneaky. This guy is going to take 3 activations. He gets a total of 2, which is really all he needs. He's going to move long from here to here, and then he's going to move on to this objective. He doesn't have the activation to seize it yet, but maybe next turn. Moving on, we really want to deal with this guy right here. So I'm going to start by taking a pot shot here, and that's just 1 activation. We miss it. I have a second archer who is going to be successful, and he's going to take a shot at this guy. That is within, is it short for those guys? No, it's medium, so it's a straight 3v3. And the elf wins, so no effect. Then we've got this guy. Is he within medium? He's not. So I'm going to do something tricky. This orc is going to try to move into contact with this elf. And on a 5, he will. Then this orc is going to take 3 activations. Looking for 4s. Oh, he only gets 1, and that ends the turn. So we move him up. We've now got the extra bonus when we're in melee against this elf. But it is the elf's turn, and this elf is going to try to take 3 activations. 1 to seize the objective, which he gets, and 1 to fight the swordsman who he is in contact with. Why can you seize an activation while you are fighting? I don't know. That's just the way the rules work. Then we roll, and it's going to be a straight 3v3, and the elf wins by 1 with an even result. He knocks this orc down. Then this elf, sitting on the objective, says, I would like to seize it, please. And he gets 2 activations, 1 to seize the objective, and 1 to move somewhere. And he's going to go try to help his buddies out by moving to here. Force those orcs to deal with him. I'm going to try to fight down here with just 2 dice. That's going to be a fight. Now, the elf is going to be attacking with a 5. Let me check the rules again real quick. Let me just make sure that I'm doing that right. When you attack a guy that's on the ground, you're at +2. Let's see, melee modifiers. Attacking a fallen foe, +2. And it's lethal, which means you don't have to double up. You just have to win the fight. The elf is at +2. The elf gets a 6. I guess technically I should say the elf is going to get a total of 11, of 9. The orc gets a total of 9. It's a tie score. Nothing bad happens to him. Bear in mind, these are both mounted. If you're a mounted guy fighting a foot troop, then you are at an additional +1. I have a couple of archers that want to shoot at this guy. The archer up here is going to move first if he gets the activations. He gets 2 activations. So we're going to move him medium and force, we'll move him to right about there. We want to make sure that we're within long distance. So when we take our shot, now I only get 2 activations, so it's going to be a 3v3, and it's going to be a tie. But this guy's going to have a harder time. He's going to have to push him back. This elf is also going to move. He only gets 2 activations. We'll move him medium up to here. And then we will take another shot, it's straight 3v3, at the shooter there. The elf gets a 9 versus 4. That's a double up. This ogre takes one right in the eye, and that, I think, is the last. I got an activation over here, so we're going to take that. We're going to roll 3 dice. If we can get all 3, well, we get the power blow, which means our opponent is at -1. Oh, but he's got a friend helping him. That's an additional +1. So it's going to be a straight 3 versus 3. The elf gets a 7. The orc gets a 4. With the odd result, or the even result, evens are down, odds are pushed back. That guy falls to the ground. He no longer counts as being outnumbered by 1. When this orc fights, it's going to be just a straight fight. But that is the last activation for the elves, who at this juncture are winning 4 objectives to 3 until this orc gets his shot off. This is turn number 6. Could be the last one. This guy is going to make 2 activation checks. He gets the 1, and he seizes objective number 4. Now the score is 2-0. And the orcs see an opportunity to win a march. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to stand this boar rider back up. I roll both dice. I get 1 action. He stands up. Looking at this monkey business up here, if this orc breaks off, then the elf can take a free shot at him, and he can't strike back. You roll a regular combat. If the elf wins, this guy is in trouble. So we can't do that just yet. But what we can do is try to move this orc 3 times. We get we only get 1 success. That's going to be the end of the turn after that orc bowman moves to here. He's rushing around the flanks to try to get to this point here. If we can seize this, then the orcs will win. But it's the elves' turn here in the bottom half of turn number 6. And the elves have a very similar plan. We'll bring this archer up to there. With 3 actions, he's going to be able to move once, twice, and use his 3rd activation to seize this objective. Now the elves are back up to 4 objectives to 1 for the orcs, and that might be the game. We're going to try to take a... what do we do? Let's fight this combat up here. We've got an elf warrior kicking a man when he's down. Just like a knife here, we roll 3 activations and get all 3. So the guy that's down is going to be at -1. The guy that's the elf is going to be at +2. The elf is at a total of +5. The orc is at +2. And with a 10 versus a 5, just because he won, that orc goes out of action. Then this elf is going to move over to here. Going to roll 3 activations. And we get 2, so we're just going to bring him right here to seal off that avenue of attack and hope that this archer can't get back around to there. This may be the end of the turn. Well, wait a minute. We could take a shot, couldn't we? If we moved him once, then we take a bow shot at that orc archer. We might as well if we got the combat to do it, but it's a tie, so nothing happens. Then we can bring this swordsman. We'll take 3 activations. And we're going to bring him up to here, and we'll use those 2 activations to deliver a -1 to our opponent. +2 becomes an 8. +4 becomes a 7. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's a 6 versus an 8. Because that's an even is a pushback to there, and that archer is free to move. Then this warrior is... Oh, no, this warrior is going to run over to help his friend out. The elf gets 2 actions, so he gets... Oh, no, he's not. He's going to... you know what he's going to do? He's going to stand right there and guard that objective marker. That's all we want him to do. Instead, we're going to have this guy fight the boy that he's going up against. We get 3 activations. The orc is at -1. His lying down friend does not help him. That orc is going to get a total of 6 versus... No. Oh, we got 2 activations. Yeah, so it's 5 for the orc. Normally combat skill 3. -1 for the power blow. That's a 2. That's a 5. +3 for the elf. That's going to be a tie score. Nothing doing. And that is the last activation for turn number 6. As I said at the start of turn number 7, I'm going to roll a d10. I might have forgotten to do this fight down here. Oops, oh well. On a 7 or less, the game is over. And we're going to call that a 2. And with 3 objectives seized, the elves have won. Their quality won the day for them. They're able to move around and grab these objectives a lot faster. The objectives mostly were on their side of the battlefield, although having to get through the lake down here did slow them down a little bit. Also, it hurt that they lost their best warriors right out of the gate. Losing those ogres early was not good for them. Really smooth game. Plays clean, looks good on camera. I need to play more of this. It's so nice to be able to do an I go, you go system where you can approach things from one team's perspective and then completely break and look at it from the other team's perspective. You're not constantly flipping back and forth every turn from, okay, you. No. We're just going to worry about the elves. Okay, the elves have done their thing. Now we're just going to worry about the orcs. Now we're going to do their things. I don't know that it makes for great gaming when you're 1v1 in meat space, but man, for the channel, I've forgotten how great this game is. Didn't use any magic. Didn't use the groups. There are rules for group activation, so if you have 3 sword guys, you can move them all at the same time. There's rules for leaders that we did not use. There's all kinds of good stuff that you can add to this game. There's a reason why Andrea has basically made a cottage industry out of the Song of Heroes. Hey, Song of Blades and Heroes. I should say out of the Song of Series. He's got pirate versions of this. He's got Napoleonic versions of this. He's got dungeon delving. Oh, he's got all kinds of stuff. In fact, I even think they use this for one of the Osprey Blue Book series. At least one of them. I don't think it's Zona Alpha. I think that's Patrick Todorov. But I think it's the Greek mythic version of Song of, but it's called something else. It's like called Gods and Heroes or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sure they'll tell me down in the comments. They're really good about filling in the gaps and covering for my mistakes. Much obliged. Till next time, I'm praying for you.